Your home is already speaking. Is it telling the story of who you were or who you're becoming? Last week, we talked about using your home as a vision board for the life that you're calling in. This week, we're going to look at what your home might be holding onto from a previous chapter. This is for the woman who already notices beauty. She probably knows what she likes. She may love interiors, design, travel, and creating a beautiful life. She may already have beautiful things in her home, but even having beautiful things can feel disconnected if they're not reflecting who you're becoming. The deeper question isn't, is this pretty? The deeper question is this true? Does this space feel aligned with the woman that I'm becoming? Does this home support my energy, my rituals, relationship, goals, and next chapter? Every home tells a story. Some rooms tell the story of the past version of us. Some spaces tell the story of transition, survival, busyness, grief, ambition, or overthinking. Some spaces hold beauty but not intimacy. Some spaces function well but lack soul. Some spaces are quietly waiting to become something more. Intentional design begins when we stop judging our spaces. We stop judging our home and we start listening to it. It all started for me back in my Aunt Liz's salon in New Orleans. I was just a little girl and I would wait at the salon because my mom was working. I would sit in the waiting area with my feet dangling from the chair, and I just remember how Aunt Liz's environment shaped the people that experienced it and her. She was a magical human being. Definitely my first mentor and the reason I became a hairstylist. All I knew was that I wanted to grow up and be like Aunt Liz. People would walk into Aunt Liz's space. It was a simple, modern, white floors, white chairs, but she had giant, big, beautiful plants filling the space. And there was such a life force in there. She had a gift to light people up. I could see them coming in kind of down, and when they left the space, they were bright, they were shining, they felt beautiful. So much of it had to do with the environment and Aunt Liz just knowing herself and her impact on the world so well. You could tell that her life purpose was to lift people up, and she did exactly that. At the age of 31, I opened my own hair salon in Santa Monica, California. The first one was just a little 2-chair salon, but I knew that I wanted that to be a safe haven for people. People loved that space. It was in an old little Victorian house. We only had 2 chairs when we started. We eventually expanded into a 10-chair salon and then another 15-chair salon in Brentwood. It was really my first time designing something more than a home, and I knew how I wanted my guests to feel. The spaces were bright, full of light. We did something called the healing haircut, where we gave a shoulder rub, Reiki, massage, acupressure points, and followed it up with a haircut. And we would ask our guests, what would you like to let go of? Because we knew that we were cutting off those dead ends. Creating ritual in your environment is so essential. Like, what is the goal here? You know, we all have such busy lives today. What I want you to consider is, how do you want to feel when you come into your home? How do you want your guests to feel? But before we get to the guests, we have to think about you specifically. What do you need from your environment? Do you need minimalism? Do you need clean spaces? Do you need soft, cozy, relaxing corners to read a book? We want to dive into understanding what you need and how to create an environment that serves that brings you towards where you want to be going in your life. Once you're clear about that, we don't even actually have to think about the guests so much, because when you imbue your space with who you are on every level, coming into your home feels like an embrace. It feels like a hug to your guests. And the reason why is because they can feel the essence of you and who you are. You know, back in my New York City days when I was a hairstylist, I had a lot of celebrity clients, and I would go to their homes sometimes to do their hair. And I just remember some of the most beautiful homes that I was in, they kind of lacked a sense of soul. Why? Because a designer was hired, and maybe that designer didn't take the time to get to know their client so well that the client was imbued in the home. I want you to have an environment that feels yummy, delicious, something that nurtures your soul when you come home every day. This is not about redesigning your home. This is about starting to just get the baseline of who you are and how you imbue your space with it. I'm going to ask you some questions, but don't worry, I have a worksheet below that you can go through. Just be with me right now and start to get inside of some of these questions and ideas and reflection points, and then later on you can take the time and actually do the workbook yourself. How do I want to feel in my home? What story is my space currently telling? What story do I want it to tell? Which daily moments deserve to be celebrated? How might my environment support my growth? What part of me is this room currently reflecting? What part of me is asking for new and more space? What have I outgrown? What am I ready to make room for? What would the woman I'm becoming choose? This is not about criticizing your home. This is just about taking a pause, looking around, starting to ask yourself some of these questions, and getting into yourself and getting to know yourself at a way deeper level. This is about becoming conscious of the emotional messages that you're sending yourself on a daily basis. Just as your style evolves, your rituals evolve, your dreams evolve, your relationships evolve, your sense of self and your home can evolve too. Here's what I want you to do. Walk through your home slowly, room by room. Don't worry about fixing anything. Don't open up any shopping tabs. Don't start judging the clutter. Do not make a list of everything that's wrong. Just notice. Let your home speak to you. Ask yourself, where do I feel most at home? Where do I feel most like myself? Where do I feel most at ease? Where does my energy drop? Where do I feel resistance? Where do I avoid spending time? What rooms or objects feel like an old chapter? What corner feels full of possibility? What object still holds meaning? What objects feel like it belongs to an older version of myself? What space feels like it's asking for a new purpose? Last week, we talked about using your home as a vision board for the life that you're calling in. But before we can create that new vision, we have to think about, how do we make space for that vision to come in? How do we create a container that allows for that new energy flow to come in? Sometimes we keep things because they were expensive or a gift or a family heirloom. But is it who you are today? Sometimes we feel guilty about letting go of things, but your home has a limited space. It also has a limited energetic space. When it's filled with things that no longer feel true, there's less room for the life that you're creating. Releasing can be a design practice. It can also be a personal growth practice. You're not just clearing clutter. You're creating space for alignment. Here are some questions when it comes to releasing. Does this object feel like me? Does this support the life that I'm building now? Am I keeping this out of love, guilt, or habit? Does this item bring energy or drain it from the room? Is this connected to a memory I want to honor or a memory I'm ready to release? Would the woman that I'm becoming choose this today? If this left my home, what might have room to enter? Here's some examples of things that may no longer serve us. Artwork that was once your style, but you've evolved since then. Books that represent an old ambition that you no longer have. Decor that fills a space but doesn't hold meaning. A room that was arranged for a season of your life, but you're no longer in that season. A dining room that's become a storage table rather than a place of connection. A home office that represents stress instead of intentional leadership, growth, development. A bedroom that no longer supports rest, softness, sensuality, or restoration. An entryway that holds chaos instead of creating a beautiful transition space into your home. I recommend that you hold these items and you consider these questions. And as you release them in gratitude, they served a moment in your life. They were there for a reason, but you're evolving, and so should the things around you. You can honor a season without continuing to live in it. Letting go is not rejection. It's refinement. It's making room for truth. It's allowing your home to evolve with your life. Sometimes the most powerful design choices are not what you're bringing in, but what you're releasing. Let's talk about your first small action step when it comes to releasing. Choose one drawer, one shelf, one corner, one area of your home. Look at each item and ask, is this supporting the woman that I'm becoming? Create 3 small piles. Keep, Release and not sure. Don't force the not sure pile. Sometimes we need awareness before action. Start with what feels obvious. One honest release can shift the energy of an entire room. 3 categories to notice. Resonance. These are the spaces that feel aligned, beautiful, peaceful, useful, personal, and emotionally true. Resistance. These are the spaces that feel heavy, cluttered, burdened down, neglected, performative, chaotic, outdated, or emotionally flat. Possibility. These are the spaces that may not be working yet, but they're full of potential. Here's a few practical examples. A neglected corner where there's boxes piling up could be a meditation zone. A bedroom might be asking for sensuality, softness, something that makes you really feel like you can ease into your evening. In my book on intentional design, coming out in the fall of 2026, this is part of beginning your journey. Before we look at colors, materials, textures, we look at spatial moments, current stories, and ritual. This is where intentional design begins. Not with perfection, not with trends, not with throw pillows. It begins with awareness. Your home is waiting to tell a new story, one that honors where you have been while allowing space for the person that you're becoming. Here's one small action plan for the week. Choose one room or corner. Write down 3 words that describe how it feels now. Then write down 3 words of how you want it to feel. Choose one item in that space that no longer serves you. Release it, move it, donate it, or simply acknowledge that it might be ready to go. Don't rush into buying anything new. Just let it breathe for a moment. Let awareness lead first. Let the space tell you what it's ready to become. Comment below with one room, corner, or area that you feel is ready for change. Subscribe if you're ready to create a home that represents the woman that you're becoming. Next week, we'll talk about the core principles of intentional design and how to use them as guideposts for your home. Don't forget to check out the worksheet below.